Alright guys, it's like 2 in the morning, but I figured while I'm chilling, I'll give you guys a little story time for the Elk Millibillies. This is how it starts. I mean, it starts all the way back in middle school. Well, actually, I lied. Elementary school. I started participating in illegal activities at a very young age, like 7 years old. It's about the time I met David. Me and another friend that we no longer hang out with. Me and him would go over to Newark where David lived with his grandparents, and we would go ride bikes, and we'd go to the skate parks, the basketball courts, the woods, and participate in all kinds of illegal activities and shenanigans and, you know, hoodlum activities. But the friend that we were hanging out with, his grandmother did not like David at all. So we always got in trouble and stuff like that. David stopped coming around like 5th grade-ish. My 5th grade anyway. But when I hit middle school, 6th grade, I met all kinds of people that you guys know now. We're talking Jack, Dom, Destiny, the list goes on. I met a lot of good people in middle school. Coming out of middle school, 8th grade, going into 9th, going into high school. That summer, I met Flat, Brandon Price. We hit it off. We were instantly cool. Like the year after I met Flat, we were partying one night, and he had Mark come over, and Flat had to leave the party for some reason. He had to go home. Boy was in trouble, I'm pretty sure, with Mama, Laura. We're all family like now, so it's awesome to reminisce on these stories. So Mark came over to the party. Flat had to leave. Mark stayed. He ended up staying the night with me, and I mean, like that year, Mark moved in for a little bit, and we're instantly family. Mark, that's still my brother. That dude lives states and states away. He's hella far away now because of the military. Anyway, I met Flat. I met Mark. I'm in high school, one day, and I'm coming through the hallway, and I seen this little short guy walking down the hallway, and I was like, wait, I did a double take, and it was David. So after all them years, after all middle school and stuff, not talking to David really at all, we got reunited. And come to find out, guess who David's been hanging out with after school? Brandon Price, Flat. So, oh, hold on guys. Sorry, dogs are crazy. Anyway. Cooter Brown. I met David in school, reunited. He's hanging out with Flat after school every day, so then I start hanging out with them, and we basically made the Mills then and there. Well, we're going to hang out at David's house in Elk Mills, hence the Elk Millibillies. We're hanging out at David's house every day, and guess who comes and moves in with him? It's his cousin, which is Fish. Oh man, it was on from there, which Fish's best friends. So Fish, David, J Duff, Will, and JC were all good friends. So that's how they got introduced into our little group. And they're all older than me, so like that's where we get all the age varieties and stuff in the Elk Millibillies. So we all start partying, then we ended up going to a party at Jack's house, and Jack lives with Morgan at the time, and come to find out, Morgan and Fish used to be a thing way back when, but they ended up being a thing again, and that's where we got the twins, the boys. We love the boys, but y'all don't see much of them here on YouTube, but the boys, that's the future of the Mills other than Jacob. Trust that. You know, David and Jack met these girls at the drag strip one night. They ended up getting together with both of them. David was with this girl, but then he ended up getting in trouble at a different party at Morgan's house one night. And then all the girls hated each other, and the Elk Mills broke up for the longest time. As that big fight's going on, basically reuniting myself with Destiny and Jared, which is Flat's brother, he got diagnosed with leukemia cancer my 11th grade year, and my 12th grade year, I'm pretty sure it was, he passed away. I instantly started becoming real close with Jared and Mikey and Sean, which is all of Brandon's brothers. And then Carly is Jared's now wife. And I instantly became close with all of them. I mean, we're all like family. We were all there for each other. All the Mills were there for each other, even when we were fighting. And Heaven is Destiny's sister. So you can only imagine how that happened. If you're wondering how Cooter Brown came into play, it was Jack's dad that raised Cooter Brown. Jack's dad came into some health issues, and I was just moving into this place, so I had an open house with no other animals and all that, so I was able to take Cooter Brown in. He ran away on me for 24 hours. Not long after that, it was like a week after he came here. A 200-pound cane corso was not seen by a single soul in Cecil County, Maryland. Go ahead and look up how many people are there or here. He was out and about. Nobody seen him, nobody brought him back, nothing. He came back on his own. Jonathan woke up next morning, came out, checked the door, and homie's laying on the porch ready to be let in on his own. So we knew this was his forever home when he came back by himself. And then he likes to tear my shit up. So like my original 350Z seats that are like $1,000 a piece, rare, destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. Windowsills destroyed. AC unit pushed out the window. He jumped out. Shit's destroyed. Can't leave him alone. So then I bought Kali Ma. And it has worked, but she's annoying as hell. Y'all hear her sometimes, I'm sure. If not, you will eventually. Promise. Promise. And real quick, let me not forget to tell y'all about Shawnee. Tall guy that knows everything and works on cars and builds race cars and stuff. But when I met Shawnee, he was like this tall. And me and his brother Brandon were in high school, and we're in Brandon's room sneaking around rolling highlighters. And here comes Shawnee running in. He runs in, he looks at me and goes, "What's up, Josh?" and runs out. And I'm looking at Brandon like, is that dude gonna go tell your mom? But he was like, nah, Sean's cool. You know, Sean ended up being cool. So that's how I met Sean. But now we see Shawnee, you know, rager, working on cars, knows everything, Dr. Shawnee. And if y'all are wondering where Cameron came into the mix, it was my 9th grade year. I was the first person to get picked up on the bus. And I don't know about your high school, but my high school had this weird thing where only seniors got to sit on the back of the bus. I was the very first person, and I didn't know that yet. So I went straight to the back of the bus, and I had these bitch senior girls, and one was a junior, I think. Well, anyway, they were bitches, and they were trying to get me out of my seat. Didn't say a word to them, though. And then here comes this dude, Zach, gets on the bus, and this dude's fucking beefed up, and he's got big old gauges on him. So I instantly knew we were gonna be cool. But he got on the bus and was like, let the man live, let him chill there. And the girl shut up, and we were chilling. We were big cool. The next year after that was Cameron's freshman year, and Cameron, as soon as he got on the bus, Zach's brother, I was like, yo, come back here with me. So that's how me and Cameron became cool. And basically since day one, we were cool. And now we're doing big things. If you guys want to know how I know Cecil real quick, it's kind of a funny story. Cecil used to beat up my friend from middle school at least once a year. And then in high school bouts, when I found out that that friend was a straight up snake in the grass and Cecil was hanging out with my other friends like Fish, me and Cecil became real close friends, and we were doing some racing and car stuff right off the rip. And Cecil's been an A1 day one ever since. So we're gonna add on to our Elk Mills backstory a little bit here. History or backstory on some of the cars we got around here that you see all the time. Some of the ones that ain't moving, you know what I mean? Like let's start with my Mustang, the Silver Bullet, Silver New Edge that you guys see that's on bags now. It had a stock interior and pretty much a stock suspension before I got it. This guy that builds cars and did a few things to this car from Texas was moving back up here, brought the car with him, and was selling it. He sold it to Rick. Rick got it for a good deal. Rick is David's dad, if you guys didn't know. Rick got it for a good deal. He hoons everything he has. I mean, he runs the police and does all kinds of crazy stuff that he shouldn't be doing. He was hooning the Mustang for a while. One of the fastest cars he's ever owned, he said. And he's owned a lot, kind of where we get the car thing from. But he was hooning it and running cops and doing all that stuff. But he'd also let all of the other Millbillies drive it as well. So Fish drove it, David drove it all the time, I drove it, PJ drove it, Kyle drove it. You get the point. Basically, if you needed a car, you needed to drive you around, you could drive the Mustang. That's how it went. So of course, us high schoolers and stuff dogged it when we were driving it as well. I mean, Fish one time was driving it and hit like a possum or something and caught like 2 feet of air right out in front of David's house while we were on his front porch watching it. Stuff like that happened all the time. Burnouts happened all the time. Will drove it from Rock Hall to here with a flat tire, because the car was too low at the time on cut lowering springs that we couldn't change the tire on the side of the road or even get a tow truck to pick us up or anything like that. So Will drove it from Rock Hall to Elkton, Maryland with a flat tire. The rubber like fused to the chrome plating of the rim, and the guys asked us how we even did that when we went to go get the tire changed. Anyway, right around the time that David's grandparents died, Rick had asked David if he wanted to use the money from his grandparents to either buy the Mustang from Rick and daily it, or go get the 240 that David always wanted. And David said, that Mustang's gonna kill me or I'm gonna total it, so let's go get that 240. So that's where you guys see the 240 from. That's why the 240 will never leave, even though it's blown up, locked up, whatever we do to it, it'll never leave, because David got that from his grandparents' money. Anyway, back to the Mustang. Not too long after that, honestly, Rick ran the cops one too many times, so he put it in hiding. Basically told me that he would sell it to me for my first car. I had the Jeep Patriot at the time, but that was kind of given to me by my parents. So I went and picked it up. It had absolutely no brakes at all. Jack went with me to pick it up. We got it home. I really didn't like what they did to it. They had 99 GT brake set up on the Cobra rear in my car, so like half the pad wasn't even being touched by rotor and stuff like that. So I had to figure out that it had a Cobra rear and a linked rear end and, you know, stage 3 auto trans and all of that stuff I had to figure out on my own, basically. It's not a Terminator, but it is a 4.6 with a forged crank and some other things. Anyway, the car ran 11.7 with 2 people in it. Before I put all new interior in it, I got a wall full of subs, 2 compressors, and a management system in there. So the car is probably at least 500 pounds heavier than it was, and hasn't had a tune-up in a while and stuff, so it's probably like a high 12-second car now, to be honest with you. But it's a fast car either way. No matter what Sean says, it's a fast car, all right, especially for a 4.6 NA. I've had people tell me they didn't even believe me that it ran that fast, but Rick's got the ticket in his wallet right now, probably. That is quarter mile. Another car I could probably give you all a little bit of backstory on is the 6.4. My first car ever, basically, was a 6.4 Impala. It was a family friend bought it and brought it over to my grandfather's, and then he stopped coming around for years and years. Still doesn't come around. He left the 6.4 at my grandfather's for so long, my grandfather was basically going to give it to me. But you know, I was young. I was still in middle school around this time. And right around the time I started saving money in order to get it over here and start working on it, put a motor and trans and stuff in it, because it was a roller and needed a good bit of work. Right around that time, my grandfather had somebody come down the driveway and offer him a decent bit of money that he could use at the time, so he sold it. So what I did, as soon as I started making money and flipping cars and stuff, which was right out of high school, even before I graduated, I think, is when I got that Lexus LS. It's not a Lexus. It wasn't a Lexus. It was a Lincoln LS is what I got. That was my first flip car. And I'm pretty sure that happened before I graduated. Right around that time, I started making my own money, doing things, flipping things, doing my own thing. I'm looking for a 6'4" Impala right away. First thing. And I met this guy Tom through Cecil. Tom, we've done business multiple times and stuff. He had this 6'4" sitting for a few weeks, basically. He used some of his friends' money to help buy that car for him, so he owed money on the car, basically. And I went over there and bought the car for what he owed on it, which was a really good deal. I think I paid $6,000 for that car, and he brought it to me that day. I couldn't beat it. The car's awesome. Like I've told you guys before, I put it on a lift and we did the tune-up and stuff. I drove it to Ocean City, brought it back, put it back on the lift. Everything's so clean underneath there, I couldn't even imagine unbolting or cutting stuff up to put it on hydraulics, or that's what I'd be doing. But I have the original wheels and stuff like that, but I still had to put it on wire spokes. So that's how she sits now, and it's ready to go whenever I am. And I have it covered up in the driveway and stuff. Really should have it in the garage, but you guys see what we do. We always got something in the garage and stuff like that, so can't do that. Let's move on to the next car. Mom's Monte Carlo, the 86 Monte Carlo SS. I have always liked that car. Always liked it. To me, that's a very iconic car, even though they were super cheap, and still some people aren't the biggest G-Body fans. That to me is a very iconic car, and I've always liked that car. And I found this one on Marketplace in Jersey, I think it was, and it was a really good deal. Me and the dude that were talking, he liked what I had going on and stuff like that. He liked that I was young and into the cars and all of that. So he gave me a good deal, and I had Jonathan take me that day to go pick it up, and I did. I went and got it, and I was thinking about selling it and stuff like that, but I was, at the time I was asking high. I was at like $6,500, I think, and at the time people were like, "You're crazy," but I wasn't crazy, because now they're going for $10,000+ in that same condition and stuff. So I wasn't crazy, but nobody was really biting on it, and I had just put 212 kickers in the back and stuff, and I was like, dude, I cannot get rid of this. And Mom was loving on it. Every day I brought it over, Mom loved it. So you know what I did? For Christmas that year, I went out there, me and David went out there at midnight, Christmas Eve, Christmas morning, and went freezing. Went and put Mom's Monte sticker across the back and put a bow on the front, drove it over to Mom's house, put it in the driveway. So Christmas morning when she woke up, I said, we gotta walk outside. And she walked out to basically a brand new 1986 Monte Carlo SS, thanks to her son. I'm so glad I did that, because she not only loves it, she takes it to the car shows with us, and it just basically brings Mom into the car scene with us. She couldn't be more appreciative of it. So that there just makes it 110% worth it to me. I actually, from Kyle Graff, the Graff Adventures, he sold me a 5.3 LS probably a year or two after. Bought the Monte Carlo. It come with a wiring harness and everything for a truck, but we're gonna rebuild that LS and put it in Mom's Monte. So definitely, if you guys like LS swapped G-bodies or anything like that noise, definitely subscribe, because that's still coming up. The Ram Charger was my grandfather's. My grandfather had bought it from the second owner, which knew the first owner. So me and my grandfather are third owners. I'm technically the fourth if you count my grandfather as the third. Excuse me. It's got a slight lift on it. Other than that, it's stock, but we love it. It's always been considered Big Red to my family. we've had so much fun in that. It's been all over the place. It's been to Kentucky and back. It's been to Ocean City. It's been doing, you know, spinning top 4-wheel drive donuts in the field. You know, it's been buried in the mud. It's been through hell. It's definitely been through hell. And it definitely needs some work now, brakes and suspension and stuff like that. But when my grandfather told me he was considering selling it, I was like, no. It ain't going nowhere without me buying it first, buddy. And that's what happened. Now I'm still broke since then, so I haven't really got to do too much with it. I did have it tagged for a little bit, but I almost killed a lady that cut me off because the brakes aren't great. So I stopped driving it since then. Let me start on the 350Z. Like I already told you guys this a little bit, but first time I ever bought the 350Z, it went semi like this. I was flipping cars and doing stuff like that, but I only like doing cool cars that I like. So when Colt and Shane came over one day, I was asking them what car should I buy next, and Shane was telling me that his cousin had this 350Z and it was quick and it was fun and torquey and they're nice and, you know, Tokyo Drift. Well, you know, I started scrolling on Marketplace then and there, and I found this 350Z that looked good as hell for a good deal, and I kind of talked the dude down. I talked him down to $5,500, and you come and deliver it to me. He said, I'll be there tomorrow. So me, David, and a few other people, we go to meet this guy, and he pulls up in this 350Z. This thing sounds good. It's got orange leather seats in it and all kinds of stuff, man. Let me tell you what, it was sold before I even seen him get out the car. I said, hell yeah, that thing's mine, bro. I'm driving that thing home. So I did. I brought it home. The guy told me, please don't slam this car. I said, bro, that's the first thing we're doing. So the first thing I did when I got it home was order coilovers and a bunch of other like Amazon bolt-on shit. I got the plenum spacer, the carbon plenum, Mishimoto radiator, stuff like that. I started going hard, bro. Before I knew it, I had 10 G's into this car, and it's at David's house being worked on. Psh, man, I didn't even have enough to flip it. So this is where the car trading thing comes in hand. David has it at his house, he's working on it, and he comes to bring it back here when it's finally done. It's on coilovers and stuff like that, it's finally done. He drives it with no license, being followed by his dad, which I just got done telling y'all, runs from the police and stuff all the time. So he's being followed by his dad, driving with no license in my 350Z that's not tagged on a back road, and he gets pulled over. And he happens to get pulled over right in front of our friend Cody's house down the street. So he pulls over into Cody's driveway, and the cop happens to be really cool. You know, Rick keeps going and comes to my house, tells me David just got pulled over. So I hop in the Mustang and I go down there to get with David because he's in my 350Z. So the cop's really cool. He likes that we're young. He likes that we're in cars and stuff like that. He likes the cars. He sees all the cars. He even knew who was behind David and just really didn't care. But was like, the car can stay in Cody's driveway as long as he's okay with it. But you got to get it towed out of here. And we were like, all right. Well, we just waited until the police shift changed. And then we went down there and picked the car up, drove it home. Anyway, car wasn't allowed back on the street after that. They told us if it goes back on the street without a tag and you get pulled over again, we're taking the car and your license, or David's chance to get a license, whatever it was. And so we just stopped driving the car totally, and I put it up for sale or trade, losing money already that quick basically. But I traded it quick and easy like. I traded it for the blue Mustang that Heaven had, 05 blue Mustang V6 with a wide body V8 interior and 20s on it all the way around. So what I did was I traded that blue daily drivable Mustang for the 68 Impala 454 big block, which is currently my most viewed video on YouTube besides the BMX video. It's a 454 big block 68 Impala that chopped like a mug hug. Not only did it chop, but it did ignorant burnouts. It did such good burnouts that it melted the blacktop underneath the tires. That is also on this YouTube. I had the 68 Impala for a while, which I ended up trading for the yellow truck that blew up on me real quick, but the truck would have been useful if it didn't blow up. That's why I traded the 68 Impala for it. But it ended up being a very bad deal. I traded the yellow truck for the Z28 Camaro, 1980 Z28 Camaro that I had. And then I traded the Z28 Camaro for the blue Mustang back. Or no, I lied. I traded the Z28 Camaro for the golden Monte Carlo that was Jonathan's daily driver for a while that he paid me back for. Then he sold that to Cecil and Cecil blew it up. Some way, somehow, I got the blue Mustang back from Kirk, and then Heaven bought it from me. And then she totaled it. That's how the life goes. But, you know, years and years later, after all that happened, the Z's gone and all of that, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, I really miss my 350Z. I'm sitting there scrolling, I'm like, maybe I can find another one. I came across my actual 350Z. My actual 350Z had been through 3 people, and the third one was a kid that just got his license, and it was his first car, and he would put it in manual 2-step mode. Even though it's an auto trans, he put it in manual mode and put the 2-step tune on, and he would just go through his neighborhood going boom, 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 until the motor was literally blown. So I went and bought my blown up 350Z for $1,300, and then, you know, put a stock motor swap back in it and stuff like that. And that's how we have it now today, as the first historic tagged 350Z ever, as far as I'm concerned. Brandon's Mustang. This car means so much to us because not only is it Brandon's, and Brandon is gone now. It was when Brandon was in the hospital and I was in high school, Brandon was looking for a car to basically build with the money he was getting from being sick. Sad as that sounds, that's the truth. What he wanted really was a Nissan 300ZX, but we couldn't find one for that great of a deal at the time. And we all had Mustangs. Well, what Rick and David did was found him a good deal on an SN95 Mustang 5.0. And he went and got it. So, with his money, what he wanted to do was get it painted. And we sent it to this guy, Louis, Angie's Auto Spa. I'm calling him out because he fucked us hard on this car. What he did was he sent it to Louis to go get painted. And Louis basically just put up a homemade paint booth at his shop and painted it out in the cold. Barely did any prep. He left it up to us high schoolers that he didn't even know to do prep, and then says that prep never even happened at all. Well, he did the paint, and the paint fucking flaked right away. But that's Brandon's car. The day that Brandon passed away, his mom did a burnout in his car, and then Jared did a burnout in his car, and then Rick, still owned my Mustang at the time, went nose to nose with Brandon's car with Jared in it, and they did an absolute banger of a burnout. And that burnout is not only caught on video, it's on YouTube here. That video also was screenshotted at the perfect time. You can see Mark's hand out the window pointing to the sky from Brandon's car passenger seat. You can see Jared, and you can see what looks like Brandon's face in the smoke. That photo, that screenshot, was used and etched into Brandon's gravestone after he passed away, and it's still there to this day. That's why my Mustang or Brandon's Mustang will never go anywhere. And those 2 Mustangs are the reason that Mikey went and bought the white Mustang as his daily driver first car, and Sean bought the red Mustang as his daily driver first car. You know, brothers keep it in the family. But Jared also went and bought a convertible SN95, and years later, after he fucking joined the army and started making army money and stuff like that, he went and bought another Cobra SN95, and they're all brutal cars. The white SN95 being wrecked is the reason that we went and bought the $500 New Edge, because the white Mustang still has a good drivetrain and stuff, and we now know that SN95 Fox body and New Edge stuff all bolts up and swaps. So what we're going to do is make a 5.0 New Edge, and if you guys want to see that, stay tuned. That car also might be one of the first custom cars to be sold by the Elk Millibillies Garage Co. fully. The Charger did sell by the Elk Millibillies Garage Co., but I had help from my buddy Art and his son Cody getting that car done. 5.0 New Edge will be the first completely custom Elk Millibilly project that could be for sale. But way back in the day, when we were still in high school and all, like I've been telling y'all about, and Will was still alive and all of that, Will had gotten David into the 240s and the Fox bodies and stuff like that. So David had a couple Fox bodies, and Fish had a Fox body, and Will has Fox bodies. His dad still got his notchback. We don't see that much anymore, but still, that's where all this originates, is Will, honestly. And since then, I mean, I've had a couple Fox bodies. I've had a 4i True GT. I had the Blue LX and stuff like that. But all this, like I said, basically originates from Will getting David into it. And that's, you know, the Millbilly way. Mikey's white Mustang is now Sean's white Mustang that you guys see wrecked all the time. We're using it as parts and stuff like that now because something happened with it. Something simple, some sensor went on Mikey and it started running like dog shit, and the only person that could fix it at the time for free was Sean. So Sean fixed it and bought it from Mikey, and Mikey went and bought his current Mustang, which is absolute badass 05 GT, tuned and everything. Sean bought the white Mustang and literally like a week later drifted the corner over here and wrecked it. That's all we're gonna say. Somebody brake checked the red Mustang. Red Mustang gonna need some work, but we're gonna fix that. But they're probably gonna total it because the airbags went off. But that just brings me to my next step. The reason that they all got Mustangs all started with Will, then David, then Flat. Now we all have Mustangs. You get the gist. That's kind of what happened with the 66 Charger. The red car that I built and sold for $25,000, that all happened because my grandfather's 66 Dodge Charger, which is the first year Dodge Charger in production ever. My grandfather still has his 1966 Dodge Charger. It was his first car. He bought it and he was still in high school when he had it. He has the numbers matching 383 2-barrel that went with it. Mine was a 4-barrel option, just so you know. He has the original motor that went with it, but right now he's got a 383 4-barrel in it. And it's been sitting for as long as I can remember, which I'm 25. It's probably been sitting for 25, 26 years. Most of that time has been in the garage, but like 5 or 6 years at least of it was outside. So it's a super solid car still, but we still have a lot of work to do. But the guy Tom I was just telling you about that I've done business with, I got the blue 6.4 and the red 6.4 from Tom, and the tow truck from Tom. I bought this red 66 Dodge Charger from Tom as well, and I did a whole bunch of work to it. 4-wheel disc brake conversion, line lock system, interior was redone. It was basically ready for the road. I built that and sold it, all because my grandfather's Charger that we still have to restore. Yeah, so I've had two 6.4 Impalas now because of Tom. I had the 350Z, which made me like the Z's, which made me buy this red 370Z at the time that I didn't own the 350. It was in between times owning the 350. I bought a 370Z. It had nitrous, it had Memphis subs in it, and I tried to trade that for a Skyline. So we had a Skyline in the mills for at least a day, and we have clips of him doing donuts and stuff like that at the corner. I'm gonna go over some of the other units that I've had that I really like the 1971 Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow I had. It was also Chevy 350 swapped, but it was really cool. It had a backseat bar, red leather interior, pearl white car with gold trim and stuff on it. Gold valve covers on the 350 and everything. That car was really cool, and it's just something that I'm still glad that I have under my belt that I owned.
Now the guy that has it lives in New York and he's going crazy with it. Suicide doors, twin turbo LS swap, all kinds of stuff. I also had the 1953 Chevy Bel Air with green flames on it. It was straight out of a Lowrider magazine. I'm actually pretty sure it was on a Lowrider magazine cover, but I don't have that specific edition or date or any of that, so call me a liar. I don't care. We also had the Chevy 350 swapped Ranger that I got from Cecil that him and his dad built. That thing was really cool, but she was ready to blow up type of thing. And I traded that and PJ's Caprice wagon with backseat bench. I traded both of those cars for the Rolls Royce, and the Rolls Royce didn't steer. I had to replace the power steering box. The El Camino, I got that from the guy that sold me the Satellite from down the street. Super cheap car, all that. I sold it once. The guy I sold it to burned the title up and never finished payments. So when Jonathan blew up the gold Monte Carlo I was just telling you about, which had a 355 built cam and everything like that, when he blew that up, we used the 305 out of the El Camino and swapped it into the Monte Carlo, and that's how he got around for a while, and that's the motor that Cecil blew up in it. But while the El Camino was sitting there with no motor and trans in it, me and Jack shot it with an arrow, and David did a burnout on top of it with a dirt bike and stuff like that. It's all on YouTube. Check it out. That's it, boys. That's all I got for now, because I got to go outside and help Cecil with his truck, which if I wanted to, I could get into Cecil's S10 and stuff like that, because Cecil's S10 has been around since I was in middle school. Him and his dad built it. It's got a 383 stroker in it. It's a burnout machine. It can't keep traction to save its life, and it's got drag radials on it. So that's that, and you guys will see more of that in the K1500. And if you guys want a quick little backstory on Cecil's truck that you just seen, Jack needed a truck like coming out of high school type of thing, so he found this deal on Marketplace. Me and him went and picked this truck up, and we found this black truck, K1500. It was a pretty good deal. Jack got it home, and it instantly started giving him problems. It wouldn't start right and all kinds of stuff like that. All kinds of problems. He put a whole bunch of money into it, and it was still giving him problems, so he was just like, you know, F it, I'm just going to give it to Cecil. We'll sell it to Cecil. Cecil bought it, and it started running perfect. I mean, it was like it was meant to be Cecil's for real. It was doing great, but it does give Cecil problems still here and there. He just had the transmission replaced. Still isn't quite on the road, but he's got a gender reveal because Cecil's a dad now. He's got a gender reveal coming up, and we're going to do burnouts to do that, which y'all will see. Anyway, guys, like I was saying, after the blue car, Heaven went and got one of the cars that she's always wanted, which was the Chrysler 300. And not too long after that, I found a good deal on a 71 Volkswagen Bug. It was basically being daily driven at the time and all that, and that was by the guy Hank, which now has my 73 Satellite. Flat and Jared and Mikey and Sean and all of them all had SN95 Mustangs. So did Fish. Fish went and got an SN95 Mustang, but it was a 4.6 version as well, just like Sean's red one. This SN95 that Fish got was like a purple, maroon, red kind of color, two-tone, and he dogged it. I mean, dogged it. It was also one of the cars at the gender reveal, along with flats for the twins. That car also did burnouts for flats, memorials, and stuff like that. Well, it got sold to me. I had it for a little bit. I got it driving. I sold it to Natalie. Natalie drove it for a little bit. It started giving her problems, so then she basically gave it to Cecil. And Cecil dogged it. Dogged it. I lied, guys. That wasn't even Fish's first SN95. The first one was the Black Bastard. The Black Bastard was an awesome car. That one was a 5.0, and it was also absolutely dogged. David also ended up getting a SN95 Cobra, which was also an awesome car. He had it for dirt cheap. He got rid of it, and that kid scrapped it. And really, I don't know how I forgot about it, but another car that started it all was J Duff's Fox Body. J Duff had this Fox Body that was really his dad's.
when his dad passed away, it went on to J Duff. But he had this Fox body and worked on it a lot when we were in like high school. And I mean, we were taking it out. My like 9th grade year, J Duff's driving and stuff and doing burnouts and going to Ocean City on the weekends and all kinds of stuff. That car is also an absolute legend, and it's still around. One day we'll convince him to start working on it, but it needs the frame straightened. J_Duff and Lil Will 1994 both have lots of pictures of the Fox bodies, SN95s, and New Edges on their Instagram.
One of the big reasons that we're into dirt bikes and four-wheelers so much, which we always have been, but Big Easy is really like, he stepped our bike game way up. If you want to check out some of his stuff and some of his content from when he was alive, go check out Bike Life Big Easy on Instagram.